Hi guys, it's album review time. Evile and the Unknown. I've actually got the name correct. I contacted an Evile fan, spoke to him, and he told me that's how you pronounce it. So there you go. Evile, the Unknown. This is coming out on July the 14th on Napalm Records. Evile are a thrash metal stroke metal band from England. This is their 6th studio album. They were formed in 2004. Man, this album, this is the first time I've heard the band. I reacted to both of their songs, their singles that are coming out before the album. And thank you for Napalm Records for sending me this album, because it's absolutely crushingly brilliant. I enjoyed every single second of this album. So, songwriting, wow, it's perfect. It's like every decision they make on every one of these songs is perfect. It's a brilliant, brilliant album. One of my faves of the year so far. It's so heavy, yet so melodic. One of the tightest albums you'll ever hear. Honestly, it's just brilliant. Production, wow. I mean, there's not many albums that sound as good as this, period. It's just brilliant. It's sort of stripped back, but at the same time, you know, it's so crunchy. The guitars are just outstanding. They really come through on the mix perfectly. They're so loud, the guitars. They hit you right there. You know, the riffing is just amazing on this album. The chugging, the riffing, the guitar solos, the melodies. But they never overpower the drums, the bass, the vocals. It's the perfect mix for this type of metal. It really is, to give you full-blown heaviness, as heavy as it can get, but you can hear every single little note and nuance. Influences on this band, I would say, hope I'm not offending the band or fans. Thrash for sure, like classic thrash, Metallica, Testament, Pantera, a little bit of Pantera in there as well, I would say. Metallica is the biggest influence on this band, but we're talking, you know, my favourite type of Metallica and most people's favourite Metallica. We're talking, you know, from Ride the Lightning through to And Justice for All, with a little bit of black mixed in as well, I would say. From that period, in my opinion, the best period of Metallica. They hone that in perfectly. If you're like, you know, with the new Metallica album, I like it. I'm liking it less and less though, because what I spoke about earlier on, and decisions in songwriting and length of songs, this is what Metallica needs. They need to know how to edit a song, in particular, what to put where. You know, they sound great, but they're missing something. And Evile give me everything that I want Metallica to do now. In spades, they really do. Let's run through the band. You've got old Drake on the lead guitar and lead vocals. Just the guitaring on this album, and he shares it with Adam Smith. The guitar work is just outstanding. It's brutal. The riffs, there's so many riffs on this album. It's very inventive though. Although they got those influences I'm talking about, they always sound, you know, they do something that surprises you now and again. And although they give you exactly what you want, they never fail to surprise you songwriting wise as well. Some amazing breakdowns and heavy moments on this album. I was just like, it's neck breaking, this album. Amazing stuff. Old Drake also on the vocals as well. Apparently, and I'm not an Evile fan as in past discography. So this is where I found the band. Which ain't a bad thing. This is where I'm going to be from now on. I will be going forward. I'll be listening to this band a lot. But vocally, old Drake said he's changed his style a little bit on this album. He said he's gone for a more melodic approach on his vocals. Obviously, I haven't heard anything else from them, so can't compare it. But all I can say is it's a brilliant masterclass in aggressive vocal, never extreme vocals, always that sort of aggressive edge, but always singing. And that's what I like, so that's cool. Ben Carter on the drums and Joel Graham on the bass. Let's talk about the bass first. So the bass is just, first of all, the tone of the bass. In certain songs as well, you can really hear it rumbling along in the background. There's some great bass work, as in intricate as well. But Also those heavy bass lines sort of just rumbling along, just holding the songs together. Brilliant stuff by Joel Graham. And then the drummer, Ben Carter, I believe he's the founding member that stayed with the band all the way along. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But I've said about the drumming already on the 2 singles, and after listening to this album, it's like, man, an outstanding bit of drum work. And I'm not usually one that hones in on drum work, obviously, as you guys probably know who watch the channel. But I've got to say, the drum work across this album is, at the moment, probably my favourite bit of drum work, my favourite album full of drum work this year. I would say it's amazing. It is just outstanding. Just mental drumming from Ben Carter, just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Anyway, so fast becoming my favourite drummer. And just talking about, just going over to Metallica again, we know not only got Lars Ulrich, I think he's a great drummer, stays within the groove perfectly, but you know, this almost, you know, if you're missing that a little bit from Metallica as well, the drum work, you're missing that bit of intricacy. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get this. You're going to get all that tenfold. You really are. So let's go through the songs one by one. We start off with the single, The Unknown. The first time I heard this band. Deep down I tremble and surface smile. Will I resemble? Immediately, like the dark, atmospheric feels that this band portray is here. The song flirts throughout, through light and shade, like heavy and then quiet parts. I feel like And Justice for All vibes in this track, for real. The Metallica we all love and miss. I do, anyway. The way the band use the light and shade as well is just brilliant. It sort of goes from heavy and then it's fucking heavy. I mean, it's just the way they use it. It's so dynamic. It's almost like when you go, you know, and watch a film now at the cinema, you know, the quiet parts are how they're meant to be. They're meant to be quiet. And then when action explodes, it hits you and almost like it makes you jump out of your seat. That's the dynamic of this album. This is a brilliant paced track, medium paced, in the perfect opener for me. And the drums. I mean, I've said already about the drums, but throughout this album, this song is just wow. The Mask We Wear is next. Another medium paced track. Just wow, man. This song, the opening riff hits so fucking hard. It's another brilliant medium paced track, pounding riffs throughout. The depth on the guitar tone is amazing. Like I said, it really hits you here. One of the best guitar tones I think I've ever heard. It cuts through perfectly. A stomping track. One of the best 1-2 punches at the start of an album you will ever hear. Then we move on to Monolith. The third track, hairs on the back of the neck as soon as this came on. After the band sound like they're going into battle, they're chanting Monolith, and it really gives you some of that, like you're going into battle. They break into another outstanding riff while the bass, like I said earlier on, just rumbles underneath in a perfectly mixed track. It's so heavy, it's so melodic, a slightly slower track than the 2 opening tracks. They're like medium pace. This is still medium pace, but slightly slower. Almost doomy feel, I think this is giving me. Brutal, outstanding metal. Next up is When Mortal Coils Shed. This is actually a slow song, a beautiful slow song at that. Acoustic guitar runs through half of the track with cool, epic metal. Sort of minor riffs weaving their way and being introduced throughout. At the halfway mark, the heaviness sort of ramps up while keeping the slow pace, but hitting you full speed in the face. It's a haunting, melancholic track that has a real heavy middle section. It's bookended by atmospheric, beautiful songwriting either end. Some great vocal harmonies as well in this track. Amazing start to the album. We're 4 tracks in. It's mind-blowing. Sleepless Eyes is next. No, I think they said they was going to slow things down a little bit on this album, but what they do, they hit you a fast track at this point. So like I said, I have no knowledge of Evile's past material, but this song maybe fulfills some of the longer fans, you know, fast thrash metal. I don't know, maybe. As brilliant as they execute slow to medium pace tracks, though, they smash it out of the park with this full speed thrash track. The technical riffing here is outstanding. Brutal riffs leave you breathless. They really do. An amazing breakdown as well. The breakdowns, man, on this album, the breakdown hits you really hard. It hits the listener at the halfway mark before you get a full speed technical thrash solo. Let me move on to Out of Sight. This is more like medium to fast pace now. So it's slightly slower than Sleepless Eyes, but a heavy, chuggy metal track. It's 3 minutes long and it sees the band at its most energetic and pounding. Even though it's quite a short track, they still hit you and change it up with a heavy medium paced breakdown just after the 2 minute mark. Great track. At Mirror's Speech is next. This track sees the band return to the pace you got at the beginning of the song, that sort of medium pace. The intensity this band gives off though, man, in that slower track is just mind blowing. It's so fucking heavy. It's medium paced, thrash, perfectly executed. There's so much groove here as well. I mean, they hit you at times throughout this album, give you that real groove laden feel. It's neck breaking stuff, it really is. Just listening to that outro riff as well. Fucking evil stuff. Evile stuff, maybe. Reap What You Sow is next.
Reap what you sow.
It's the latest single. Did a reaction to this one, the perfect single choice. But to tell you the truth, they could release any song off this album and I think the fans would just blow their mind, I really do. Again, gives me that And Justice for All vibes here. That riff in the chorus, I think it's a minor riff, it's just outstanding. And the drum work again, I've got to give a shout out to the drummer again on this one. Wow. Beginning of the End is the 9th track. There's an excellent bass line sort of drives the start of this song before the band kicks in with, again, an amazing riff. It's like a stuttering riff. This is like proper Bay Area 80s thrash as we get some really cool gang vocals, give me a real nostalgic feel. An excellent chorus, an outstanding chorus actually. An ultra melodic solo that just tops off a brilliant penultimate track. 5.5 minutes of brilliance. And then we finish off the album with Balance of Time. And it's high speed thrash at its best. Remember when you first heard Damage Incorporated? I do, back in 86. It sort of almost gives me those feels, it really does. This band knows how to finish an album as well. With 2/3 of the album being at that sort of brilliant medium paced groove, the band sort of hit you hard at the right times and leave you senseless with some thrash. I love this song. They thrash with the best of them, they really do. High speed, technical wizardry, with a few seconds just to top off the album, just to round it off. Bit of lovely, beautiful acoustic guitar at the end, just to end the album. And then you just want to press play again. It's amazing stuff. Evile has brought out, don't know what, there's so much music coming out, man, but I've got to say one of the best albums of the year, without a doubt. The Unknown by Evile is an amazing album. It gives you groove, it gives you melody, above all it gives you heaviness that hits you so fucking hard you can't wait to come back for more. Let me know, guys, if you're going to get this. It's coming out on July the 14th on Napalm Records. I'll see you soon.